So guys, hi once more time. My name is Nash. I'm going to conduct this webinar. So first of all, I would like to welcome all of you to this writing webinar, and I'm going to teach you how to achieve a 7 plus in writing. Uh, I want to promise you all that I'm going to teach you. So stay till the end because I'm pretty sure that whatever I'm going to teach you, you might find it very useful, and also it's going to be very unique. So guys, before I start teaching, I guess all of you would like to know who I am. So one more time, my name is Nash Akhtar. I'm a professional IELTS trainer. By the way, I'm CERTA certified, so I even have the right to become an examiner. So I've had the privilege of preparing over 4,000 students to achieve a very high score in IELTS writing. And currently, I'm in St. Petersburg in Russia. And also, we launched a online platform in 2016, and also we have an IELTS preparation center here in St. Petersburg. So just that's all about me. So instead of just bragging about myself, I would like to show how effective we have been. And here are some of our students who achieved 7.5 overall and even 7 in writing within 5 weeks. So these are our students who achieved like very high results. And some of our students, they even achieved 9 for reading, 9 for listening, 7 for writing one more time. So we have been preparing for the past 6 years. And believe me, the preparation is quite effective. So today I would like to enlighten you all with writing and how to achieve a very good score in writing, because writing is considered to be the toughest section. And very often students take the exam several times and still fail to achieve a 7 from the first attempt. So the agenda of the webinar would be understanding the marking system, because very often students believe that to achieve a 7 in writing, they have to improve their grammar skills and also their lexical resources, or in other words, vocabulary. But to be honest, it's beyond that. So we're going to become familiar with the marking system. We need to understand how the examiner is going to assess you and what you should provide, how you're going to satisfy the examiner to achieve a very good score in writing. And at the same time, guys, we're going to speak about common mistakes students make in writing, because I don't want you all to make those mistakes after this webinar. And at the same time, we're going to learn how to make our writing academic. The importance of this, I will discuss a bit later, but these are the points I would like to highlight today at the webinar. So stay till the end. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be very useful, guys, because writing is considered to be the toughest section. And I know for some people, it's like a nightmare. And yeah, for some, IELTS is actually the barrier. And for some, it's actually the writing section. But there are students who achieve like very good score in speaking, in listening, in reading, but then they achieve a very low score in writing. By the way, guys, in case you don't hear me properly, you should type and say that you can't hear me. But we have tried our best to organize this webinar in such a way so that the sound quality is going to be clear, because whatever I'm going to tell you, I believe that it's going to be very, very useful. So before I start, I would like to speak about, I would like to highlight the writing section. So I guess all of you know it's going to be for 60 minutes. And there are 2 parts, task 1 and task 2. So the task 1 is going to be for 20 minutes. And you know that the task 2 is going to be for 40 minutes. And for those who are taking general IELTS, they have to write letters such as formal, informal, semi-formal letters. And those who are taking academic IELTS, they have to write descriptions, or they have to describe graphs, bar charts, pie charts, maps, and diagrams. And I guess all of you know that we have to write 150 words for task 1 and not less than 250 words for task 2. And what is very important, guys, is actually to understand that some people believe that task 2 is more important than task 1. And I do agree that you will score more on task 2 than on task 1, because 2/3 of the mark comes from task 2 and only 1/3 comes from task 1. Let me keep it very short. For example, if a student, if he achieves a 7 in task 2 writing and a 6 for task 1 writing, there is a probability that he can have an overall score in like 7 in writing. But what is very important here is actually not to undermine or not to underestimate the importance of task 1, because very often we focus only on task 2 and we believe that we need to write an essay, we need to structure it, but we fail to pay attention to task 1, I'm sorry. So it is also very important, guys. So yeah, you have to write 150 words when it comes to task 1, and in task 2, it's just 250 words. Although it might sound like, wow, I need to write 250 words or like 150 words, believe me, it's not that much. And if you manage your time very well, I believe that it's a piece of cake. So you should not worry much on the word count. Now, before I move forward, very often students ask, what if I write 140 words or 149 words? What if I write 249 words? Is it okay? Am I going to lose marks heavily on that? Or can the examiner minus marks there? Actually, yes. So it's going to be -1 under task response. But yes, it's not like a critical error, but still, of course, you have to meet the word count. So do not write less than 150 words in task 1 and not less than 250 words in task 2. So guys, those are the points I would like to start with. And what is very important, guys, in order to achieve a very good score, you need to understand the marking system, or we call the marking criteria. So there are 4 criteria, each criterion. So they are task achievement, lexical resources, grammatical range and accuracy, coherence, and cohesion. So these are the 4 criteria that the examiner is going to assess you based on these criteria. So it's very important to know how to score well and how to have a balanced approach on all 4 criteria, because that's very important. And sometimes students go wrong because they only focus on grammar, or they focus on vocabulary, or they focus on the structure. But I believe that there should be a balanced approach. Now, what should you do in order to achieve that higher score in task response? So make sure, yes, like we've already discussed, to write over 250 words or not less than 250 words. And then satisfy all the requirements of the task. What do I mean by that? Now, if it's an opinion essay, I mean, I guess all of you know that there are different types of essays, like discussion essays, opinion essays, problem solution essays. Now, if it's an opinion essay, it's very important to give your opinion in introduction, and your supporting paragraphs should reflect your opinion. And when you write your conclusion, you should restate your opinion. And not only that, you should restate your main points and your opinion. So you see, it's very important. And then, guys, when you support your points, make sure you give specific examples. I don't want to confuse you all, but let me try to give an example here. Imagine you're going to speak about technology replacing the teacher. Now, if you just say that technology cannot be effective as a teacher in your supporting paragraph, and that's why I believe teachers will always be prevalent in the education sector. Now, that's not enough. You must give specific examples to your points. And very often when I read essays, and I know that I've discussed with certain examiners as well, they say that it's a huge error when students just give examples, but they're not just examples, they're just points. So you have to be very specific with your points. And if not, you're not going to achieve a very good score. Then, guys, cover all parts of the topic. So, for example, it's not only for task 2, but even for task 1. Imagine if it's a line graph, there are like 3 lines, 2 lines are going up, 1 line is going down. So you have to address all those issues, the highest point, the lowest point, maybe there were fluctuations. So all those highlighting features should be mentioned. And the same goes in task 2. You have to cover all the main points, because that's very important. And like I've already discussed, you should know how to build your points, how to build a paragraph with specific points, because that's very, very important, guys. Now, the other point the other criterion I would like to highlight is actually coherence and cohesion. And actually, this is actually a criterion where students don't focus much. I guess I would like to involve you guys. Now, before I explain, can someone tell me the exact meaning of coherence? Can someone type, and all of you can get involved here. So what does it mean, coherence? Does anyone know? And how would the examiner understand that your writing is coherent? Well, I guess people are a bit reluctant to get involved, I see. Guys, coherence, it means logically structuring your ideas. Now, in essay writing, there should be defined paragraphs. So each paragraph should have one main point. I'll repeat again. So there should be an introduction, body paragraphs, or we call it as the supporting paragraphs, conclusion, for example. And then apart from that, we should like each paragraph should have one main argument. So there should be a proper structure, and also there should be a clear progression. These are like examiner's terms. Clear progression means like, a defined introduction, supporting paragraphs, then a conclusion. You see, so it goes like introduction, body paragraph, and then a conclusion. So that's, if the examiner sees that with a logical structuring, that is coherence. Now, cohesion is actually connection between sentences. So that means using linkers appropriately, and there should be also like a proper flow. Now, in order to do that, guys, do not have too many sentences. I'm going to teach you that a bit later. So logical structuring is important, and at the same time, defined paragraphs, they're also quite important. So this, by doing this, you can achieve a very good score. So that's why when you write, sequence information and ideas logically, use a range of cohesive devices appropriately, that means using linkers, then use paragraphing appropriately, that way you can score more on coherence, have a clear progression throughout. That means, now imagine you're going to write a reason solution essay. In that case, you see your first supporting paragraph, first the reason, explain that reason further with examples, and maybe also you can mention the impact, or let's say the outcome because of a problem, and then you give relevant solutions for that, and also the positive outcome. Now, if you go to our YouTube channel, we have a YouTube channel, Master Trials. Over there, we have the clear structure of how to write a reason solution essay, and it will give you the structure very well. And you will understand it very well, guys. Then avoid unnecessary repetition of information. Now, very often students load their essays with sentences, with ideas. Now, if one paragraph has too many points, that could be a critical error. And this is something that I've come across very often, and I think it's not very good. And that is one of the reasons why some students say that I speak so well, I even got a 7.5 in speaking, but ended up achieving a 6 in writing. How could that happen? They even say, Jesus, oh gosh. But the point here is actually you haven't understood how to structure your paragraph. And that could be one of the reasons. Maybe there could be other reasons as well, but that could be one of the reasons where students don't achieve more than 6 or even 6.5 in writing. So that's very important, guys. Then the other point is actually lexical resources. Now, in order to achieve a good score, you should use less common words. What do I mean by that? Now, very often, don't you agree that we use words such as good, bad, and so on? These are common words which we use in speaking, but we should not use such words in writing. So we can't say it is very important. Now, that's actually weak writing. Maybe you can say it is crucial, it is pivotal, it is vital. So to use a better range of vocabulary, that's very important, guys. Then awareness of style and collocation. Now, there are people, they're so obsessed with uncommon words, and they end up using words which are inaccurate or inappropriate. and that could also affect the cohesion, and maybe your writing is not cohesive because you use words which are not very natural. And that's very important too, guys. So when you learn new words, I always tell students, don't just learn the word, but also try to understand the collocation, and also on what occasions you can use, and see whether if it's a noun, whether it's a countable noun or an uncountable noun, because that way you can use articles effectively. So just don't learn words by heart, but also try to learn such words with examples. That way, I would say it is better. Then avoid errors with word formation. For example, see whether the word that you're using, whether it's an adjective or an adverb, because sometimes students, they confuse that. And people who have such issues, remember, your score cannot be more than 6. So it's not that great. So I would say that you should be very attentive there and avoid errors with spelling. Now, those who have problems with spelling, what is the solution? There are 2 ways of overcoming that. Number 1, guys, read. Read as much as you can. Read for leisure, but not under pressure, we say. So what I mean by this is actually, don't read for the sake of IELTS. Don't read saying like, oh, I need to read because I need to overcome my spelling mistakes. Now, that is not the right approach. The best approach here would be to read for leisure. Read some articles. Read what you like. Not just storybooks, but I would ask you all to read news, some blogs, and then you will come across all these common words we use. Because you see, the thing is, if it's an uncommon word, and if you make a spelling mistake, maybe the examiner is going to have some mercy on you, or he would overlook that. But if we keep on making mistakes with common words, now that's actually a huge error, and we can lose a lot of marks. Because believe me, guys, even to achieve a 9, even if you want to achieve a 9, it is okay to make a couple of spelling mistakes. If you think that I'm lying, you can check the British Council marking criteria, and over there they say that some words are with inaccuracies, like slips. So everyone can make spelling mistakes. That's okay. But what is very important here is not to make spelling mistakes with common words. That's the most important part. Then, guys, the most important part is actually also grammar. I'll just highlight those particular points there. So when it comes to grammar, we should not make grammar mistakes. We should use a lot of sentence variety. So we should not just use simple sentences, but we should use compound, complex sentences as well. At the same time, we should be very accurate with punctuation. We should also be very accurate with articles, because very often in writing, students make a lot of mistakes with articles and punctuations. And I believe very often people say, I have problems with articles. I hear that. But only a few, they take a step forward to correct themselves. So it's actually a critical error. So believe me, examiners, they tell me that very often students make mistakes with articles, punctuation, sentence structures. For example, guys, how to use a dependent clause and an independent clause. So these are like critical errors, and by doing such mistakes, you can lose a lot of marks. But now, guys, very often, I guess you guys know this, the thing is, apart from this, there is something else students make, students don't correct themselves, that is actually not making their writing style academic, you see. So very often students fail to make their writing academic, and that's actually not great, because if you make your writing style academic, if you don't make it academic, then you can lose a lot of marks. Now, those who are very fluent in speaking, those who achieve very good, like if they have achieved a good score in reading and listening, and if they achieved a 6.5 or a 6 in writing, one of the reasons could be that their writing style is not academic. Now, remember, when you write essays, it's not like writing a newspaper article. It's not like writing a blog. It's not like writing a message to your friend. It's totally different. It's academic writing. And the style of writing is totally different. The approach is totally different. The words you should use is totally different. And that is one of the reasons, because we, at Masterrise, we also conduct certain surveys we do some research, and we try to analyze why some students who are very fluent or really good, they fail to achieve that 7 or higher. And believe me, even sometimes native speakers, they find it difficult to achieve that 7 band score. So the reason is actually they fail to make their writing style academic. So I would like to teach you today how to make your writing style formal, and how to and what kind of words you can use instead of common words. But apart from that, guys, I also would like to highlight on these 3 common mistakes students make. First is poor time management. Now, guys, very often students prepare thoroughly. I know those who are preparing for the exam, especially for IELTS, they don't take it lightly. I mean, they do commit themselves. They work really hard, but unfortunately, they never manage their time. I know some students, what they do is actually they write their introduction, and after that they call their friend and say how difficult IELTS exam is, and then they write their supporting paragraph, the first supporting paragraph, and after that they have a cup of tea and maybe listen to music, then they write the second supporting paragraph, and then they write the conclusion. And when the teacher comes, they show, I've written an essay, and the teacher corrects and says, oh, well done, nice. Maybe they even check some words. So this is actually poor way of preparing, guys. Time management is very important. Why I'm saying this, believe me, 30% of students, they fail to complete their essay at the exam, or they rush and everything gets disorganized. And the essay is actually like the salad Olivia. Maybe the example is at the beginning, the conclusion is actually at the beginning. So everything is a mess. Planning is very important. Now, let's take task 2 essay. As you know that you have 40 minutes to write. And how should you manage your time is actually a very good question, right? So remember, 10 minutes should be for planning out of that 40 minutes. 10 minutes should be for planning. And 20 minutes or to 25 minutes to draft your essay, and make sure that you have 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes to proofread your essay. That's very important. So what should you do during this 10 minutes? Now, very often people say I should pray. No, apart from that, during that 10 minutes, guys, you need to understand the question correctly, what is required. And then you need to underline those keywords. I would ask you all to watch our video again on YouTube, how to write an introduction for task 2 essays. And it clearly shows how you should understand the question and how you should write an introduction. But here, what I'm saying is understand the question, underline those keywords, because actually it's very important. Now, for example, if it's about crime, now maybe that's the keyword crime. So you need to think about some words related to crime. They could be like brutal, maybe bloodshed, aggressive behavior. So this will help you to reflect on the words you can use, and then think about the points. Now, for example, very often I've come across this question about violent media and children, whether media is the main cause of children becoming aggressive. So in such cases, you need to understand whether you're going to agree or whether you're going to disagree. So if you agree, you need to understand the points that you're going to come up with and the examples that you're going to give. So you see, once you plan, once you have like a blueprint, like a master plan, then it's easy to draft. So planning is very important, because during that 10 minutes, you're going to think about the words you're going to use, the ideas itself, and what kind of constructions you're going to use, because that's part of academic writing. So planning is important. And then you should spend around 20 to 25 minutes to write. And then, guys, like I said, 5 minutes to check whether you have used your articles correctly, whether you have made mistakes with punctuations. So you have to correct that. Don't let the examiner correct your mistakes first. Be the first person to correct your essay, and then let it be the examiner. So proofreading is important, and do not take it lightly. So honestly speaking, guys, this is a very important part. So try to time your essay. Initially, you can spend around 45 to 50 minutes, but eventually you should reduce that to 40 minutes. And those who have written at least 10 essays, I'm pretty sure that at the exam, for them, even 20 minutes would be more than enough to write or to complete their essay. So I think that's actually the right way, guys. So please pay attention to this particular point. Then, guys, like I said, poorly understanding the question. There are people, they say, I wrote a very nice essay, but I ended up achieving like a 6 or a 5.5. What could be the reason? The reason here is actually that maybe they misunderstood the question. Now, if someone has misunderstood the question, the maximum they can achieve is actually a 5, or even could be even worse. But overall, the examiners, they give a 5 if you have misunderstood the question. But that's a huge error, guys. So make sure that you understand the question. That's very important. Then, like I said, mistakes with grammar. Again, I've been repeating the same points, but it's true. Don't make mistakes with articles, punctuations. If you have such issues, try to overcome that. So articles, punctuations, then sentence structures. So these are the most common mistakes. Prepositions as well, but not that often, because people think that it's all about tenses and conditionals. But no, people make mistakes with spellings, articles, punctuations, and prepositions. So make sure that you know how to overcome those issues as well. So guys, before I move on, like I said, to be very honest, I've seen a lot of books, even they say like, buy this book because we have band 9 essays, or like, and I've downloaded them because, I'm in this field and I want to know what others are saying about academic writing. And like I said, at Masterclass, we do our own research. But to be honest, guys, even those books where they mention band 9 essays, they're not band 9. And I guess students get misled because only a few, they understand what is academic writing. So before you write your essays, try to understand what is academic writing. So academic writing is a style of writing which is accepted as the main method for written communication in the scientific field. So it's totally different. Like I said, it's not about writing newspaper articles or writing a blog. So it's about in the field of research, science, accounting, and so on. So it's more like professional. What is very important, guys, in academic writing, complicated ideas should be expressed in a clear manner. That's what is important. So when you write, everyone should be able to understand your views. So that's why we should not have long sentences. So it's totally different. So that's very important. So guys, in order to make your writing style academic, the writing style, the academic writing has some features. So there are third-person exposition, following certain structure, formal language, and make sure that your sentences follow a terse style. So I'm going to explain all these 4 points. So the first point is third-person exposition. Then you have to have a particular structural element, and then formal language and terse style. So the second one, when we speak about particular structural elements, that means you have to follow a particular structure when you write different types of essays. So they are like agree, disagree, discussion, problem solution, right? So each type, there should be a proper structure, because that is quite important as well. So what do I mean by third-person exposition? So when you write essays, it's better to have more passive constructions, because we should use personal pronouns only if it's necessary. We should use the active voice only if it's necessary, but we do not overuse active voice, but we would use passive voice. Certain examiners, by the way, if they see that your writing style is very personal, if you haven't used the passive construction, that is also one of the reasons where students achieve a 6.5, although they haven't made any mistakes with grammar on grammatical range and accuracy. So their score on grammatical range and accuracy cannot go beyond 6.5 if they haven't used passive construction, if they haven't used complex sentences, if they haven't used compound sentences. But using passive style is important in academic writing. Look at my example here. Now, if it's a first-person narrative, you would write like this. My analysis of the latest studies shows that air pollution can be prevented by the common usage of electric cars. You see, now that's too personal. Nobody wants to know whether you did it or not. What is very important is what is being done there. That's the most important part. So if it's a third person narrative, it should be like, according to the latest studies, air pollution can be prevented by the common usage of electric cars. You see? So guys, I will discuss that particular point a bit later, how to use the passive construction. Now, maybe a new law should be introduced rather than saying the government should introduce a new law. We're more focused on the action. A new law should be introduced rather than saying the government should introduce a new law. I mean, of course, laws are implemented by the government. But okay, here we have only one man. That doesn't matter. So the point is here, guys, is actually to use the passive construction when it is necessary. Now, at the same time, active voice is also very important. Now, for example, children should take up more physical activities, or children should get involved with physical activities, right? But here we can't use the passive voice because we have to mention, because we are referring to children. So here we have to use the active voice. So understand the logic here. Think about when you should use the active voice and when you should use the passive voice. But at the end of the webinar, we're going to do some work. Like, we're going to transform certain informal sentence to formal sentences, and I guess you'll understand how to use the passive voice. Then, guys, again, I guess we have already discussed this. We should follow a particular structure because that is important in academic writing. Maybe not for newspaper articles, not when you're writing a review, but here, when you write essays, you have to follow a structure. See, so there should be defined paragraph. There should be a clear introduction, body paragraphs, conclusion. And if it's an opinion essay, the structure is going to be different. If it's a discussion essay, the structure is going to be different. If it's a reason solution essay, the structure is going to be different. Then about the formal language. Now, guys, remember, do not use first person pronouns such as I, we, and us. Now, I, or in my opinion, we might have to use when we give our opinion, when the question is asking for your view, for your opinion, then yes, we have to use the personal pronoun. But contractions like can't, aren't, wouldn't should not be used. So you can't use contractions, guys. So when you write, it should be cannot, could not, are not, would not. But at the same time, guys, since we speak about academic writing, let me type it for you all. I guess it will be important. So when we write, we should not actually, so let me see where to type. Okay, guys. Fine, I guess I can't. Something's wrong with the chat here. Or is it? Ah, yeah, okay, fine. So guys, look here. Now, when we type, we say people don't have time for healthy eating, let's say, for example, right? People don't have time for healthy eating. Now, you see, too many words. Don't have time. Use the right phrase here, the lack of time. You see? The lack of time would be the correct phrase. So, not enough money, insufficient funds. Now, that is part of academic writing. That is actually, I would even use the phrase strong writing. So, please focus on those areas, guys, because it is very, very important. So, the next point is following a terse style. Now, a word is sentence, like after many years of examination, researchers arrived at the conclusion that the problem of air pollution has a negative impact on planet Earth. You see, too long. You know, in academic writing, in essay writing, the maximum number of sentences you can have is about 20. The longer the sentences are, the more incohesive it becomes. So make sure that you don't exceed more than 20 words in a sentence. That's very important, guys. So a concise sentence would be, researchers concluded air pollution to be a problem with a global reach. You see, like I said, people don't have time, the lack of time. So use minimum number of words to explain your ideas clearly. Now, that is part of academic writing. So don't take it for granted. I believe that it is very important. So guys, now what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to show you. Now, those are the features, right? Now, when you write, it should have a terse. It should follow a terse style. It should have a proper structure. You should not use contractions. By the way, I guess I kind of, yeah. So no, don't use contractions. Don't use short forms like TV, photo. And also, guys, the last point I forgot to mention here, in formal language, don't use modifying adjectives such as so, very, and pretty. Because you see, pretty, very, and so, they're more colloquial. So it's for spoken English. So I'm not saying that you can't use all the modifying adjectives, but such modifying adjectives like so, very, and pretty, they're very weak. I mean, they're more for spoken English. So avoid using such modifying adjectives in your writing, guys. So yeah, those are the points I want to highlight. But now what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a video and I'm going to teach you 3 ways of making us writing academic. 3 ways of making your writing style formal. So I'm going to show you a video. Please sit back, relax, and watch the video because I'm pretty sure you will find it useful. So I'm going to switch off the mic and also the camera so that you all don't get distracted.
Welcome to video lessons at Master IELTS Online. In this video, you're going to learn about the academic style of writing. One of the most common mistakes students make in essay writing is following a very informal approach in their writing style. No matter how well you write, if your writing looks informal, you can't achieve a score more than 6.5. So what does academic writing mean? Well, academic writing means to make your writing more formal and impersonal. There are 3 ways of making your writing formal. 1. Nominalization. 2. Using the passive voice. And 3. Using more academic vocabulary. So now let's look at the first way of making our writing style academic, which is called nominalization. Nominalization means using nouns to replace verbs. Look at the example below. People like to travel more than in the past. So we can convert the verb travel into its gerund, traveling, and use it as a noun and say, traveling has become more popular than in the past. So that's nominalization. If you're wondering how to make verbs into nouns, there are 3 ways. First, change the verb into its gerund form. Example, when you learn a new language becomes learning a new language. So in the above example, we have converted the verb learn into its gerund, learning. Second, change the verb into its noun form. In other words, in English there are verbs which have the noun forms. For example, appreciate, appreciation, protect, protection. So below is an example of how to use it in a sentence. So instead of saying, to learn to appreciate nature, you can say, the appreciation of nature. Now the last method of nominalization is using a different noun which has the same meaning but is more academic. For example, instead of saying, they can learn new languages, we can say, the acquisition of new languages. So acquisition is a more formal noun instead of learning. So let's look at the second way of making our writing academic, which is using passive constructions. Often in academic writing, we don't want to focus on who is doing the action, but on who is receiving or expressing the action. So the passive voice is extremely useful in academic writing because it allows writers to highlight the most important participants or events within sentences by placing them at the beginning of the sentence. Let's look at an example of passive constructions. The government should bring in a new law to ban smoking in public places. A new law should be introduced to ban smoking in public places. In this example, the passive construction is preferable because you want readers to focus on the action rather than who is doing the action. The third way to make your writing more academic is to use uncommon vocabulary instead of common vocabulary. Look at the example below. Many are worried about the environmental pollution. You can replace worry with a more formal verb, concern, and say, many are concerned about the environmental pollution. Here are some examples of using formal, uncommon words instead of common words. Instead of important, you can say significant, pivotal, or vital. Instead of saying main reason, you can say the principal reason, the obvious cause, the main contributing factor. For more words, you can refer to our platform. Well, that's all about how to make our writing more academic. Now you can do the tasks on the platform. If you like this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Master IELTS Online. Effective preparation for a higher score.
So guys, I guess now you know 3 ways of making your writing more formal. Now, like I said, we have a great YouTube channel and I'm pretty sure you guys are going to love it. I'm not asking you all to subscribe or like us, but I would ask you all to watch that video again. It's on our YouTube channel, how to make your writing style formal. And it'll show you that there are 3 ways: nominalization, using passive voice, and using more formal words. So guys, look here. Now, very often, I've seen students, when they write, they use a lot of common words. But it doesn't mean that you should take a dictionary and learn all the new words or words which are new for you from A to Z. No. The point here is actually to understand what are common words and uncommon words. Now, important, do you understand? We use it quite often, right? We say it's important. You should go there. So in writing, especially in academic writing, we should use some uncommon words to make our writing look more formal. So important, we can say significant, pivotal, vital, crucial. Now, the main reason, the principal reason, the obvious cause, the main contributing factor. Now, safe could be protect, preserve, natural living environment, habitat. Then guys, affect, maybe impact. So think about more uncommon words. And during our writing course, we do teach our students, and actually it is very important. But guys, what we're going to do now, we're going to do some work. I want you all to get involved, and I want you all to transform these informal sentences or sentences which are very common to more formal sentence structures. So what I'm going to do is, with the first one, I'm going to help you all, okay? And then from there onwards, I want you all to type. Now, it's very important to get involved, guys. So look at the first one. It says, people love traveling nowadays. People love traveling. I mean, who else is going to travel? I mean, we're not going to speak about animals that they love traveling. We're referring to people. So I would say we don't have to use people here. We focus more on the action. So it's more of the nominalization. So what do you think would be the correct way to structure the sentence? People love traveling nowadays. Can someone type? Do you all have any options, guys? So people love traveling nowadays. Okay, so we can say, guys, traveling has become more popular nowadays. Traveling has become more popular nowadays. Instead of saying people love traveling nowadays, we can say traveling has become more popular nowadays. You see, so we focus on the subject. Traveling has become more popular nowadays. Now, the next one, guys, everyone is talking about global warming, or everyone is talking about violent media. You don't write like that. So it should be, the issue of global warming is widely discussed nowadays. Or violent media has become a major concern. Now that would be the correct way to write. Violent media has become a major concern, or the issue of global warming is widely discussed nowadays. That would be the correct option. Then guys, smoking can have very harmful effects. Smoking can have very harmful effects. So can have, we can say possess, to possess. So smoking can possess a detrimental impact on health. Harmful, detrimental. So smoking can possess a detrimental impact on health. So those are the points, guys, I want to discuss. So effective steps towards writing preparation. Number one, become familiar with different types of essays, because that's very important, guys, if you want to achieve a good score. Then minimize your grammar mistakes, because that's very important. Then expand your lexical resources, like we said, vocabulary, so you have to improve, but logically, not like learning each and every word. Maybe some of them are not going to be useful. Then time your essays, make sure that you manage your time properly. And then guys, I believe that's very important to receive professional assessment. So your essays should be checked by IELTS experts, certified IELTS experts, or who are even if they have the experience of being an examiner, would be a plus point as well. So I believe that you need to focus on all these 5 aspects. One more time, become familiar with each and every type, then minimize your grammar mistakes, expand your lexical resources, time your essays, and get professional assessment. Now, on the one hand, guys, to prepare with a private tutor or individual teacher, I guess it's going to be pretty costly, and the number of lessons you'll have to have is also going to be a good number, and I think financially it's going to be a burden. And the other point, guys, actually, no matter what, however you prepare, you have to organize your preparation. So it has to be well structured. So I would like to kind of highlight you a bit about our online course, which the writing course. So we believe that it's a great value for money, because we check around 10 essays, and we will provide detailed feedback. And as you know, in the international market, to check one essay, it's going to cost $25, but believe me, what we offer is way cheaper than that. Then you have a logically structured course. Then you will have constant support from our IELTS experts. Then you will learn useful vocabulary. Then you will improve your grammar. Then you will have professional assessment from our IELTS experts. Then you will have video lessons. You have already watched one video. And then you will have access to real Band 9 essays, because that's very important, guys, because everything that you find online, I believe that it's a bit irrelevant. So guys, what is very important here is actually that the program that we provide is actually the course plan. You will learn the following. So it's actually for 60 days. You will have weekly webinars with our IELTS trainers, not just only me. So we have Benjamin Griffin, who's all the way from Australia, who is a professional IELTS trainer. We have Alex Blasov, who is also a professional IELTS trainer. Then we have Tatiana, who's actually here in St. Petersburg, who is also specialized in writing. So you will have weekly webinars, but apart from that, you will have access to the platform. So you will learn how to use tenses effectively. You will become familiar with different types of essays and their structures. Then you will learn how to organize your ideas. Now, these are the points, guys, you should focus on in order to achieve a very good score. Then you will learn how to use articles accurately. Then you will become familiar with sentence structures. Then you will learn how to be accurate with punctuations. Like I said, very often students make mistakes with punctuation. Then you will learn how to make your writing. So here I mentioned also your writing formal. And apart from that, you will learn the structure of the following essay types, like reason solution essays, opinion essays, 2-question essays, and also discussion essays. So a lot to learn, guys. And believe me, if you want to learn through individual lessons, it's going to be very costly. So we have our writing course on a special offer. So everything, like the weekly webinars, the platform together, it's going to cost only 4,900 rubles. So if you're interested, I guess it would be really nice for you all to join this course, because I'm pretty sure that if you're aiming at a very high score, the course program is going to be enough and more, and it's going to be very effective. Because when you want to learn words on different topics, be technology, crime, media. Then we have to learn about education, globalization, environment. So we have created special videos, and there are special tasks for you all to know and to be more thorough with these words. And I believe that it's going to be very effective. So now I'm open for questions. So if you have any questions, you all can type. So do you have any questions related to writing and also about the course in general? Oh, I've seen actually Diana had typed the answer. Well done. Very good. If you typed it, if you made that attempt, your answer was correct. I'm impressed. Very good. Do you all have any questions, guys? Guys, you can ask questions related to IELTS preparation. Maybe some of you have issues with the preparation itself. Maybe some of you all don't know whether your current level is sufficient in order to achieve a good score. Maybe some of you all don't know what kind of a score is required. So, I'm quite experienced in this field, and I'm pretty sure that I'll be more than happy to answer your questions, and maybe I could be helpful. So, in case you have questions, you can type. Okay. The thing is, Diana, we have like a special course for all 4 sections. I guess you could just go to our website and check. It's masterizonline.net. I'm sorry. It's actually, no, it's for the international market. I'm sorry. To masterizonline.ru. I'm sorry, it's not .net because actually it's for the international market. For the Russian, it should be masterizonline.ru. Look, the thing is actually what you can do, Diana, is actually I can assess your level. So we can have like a individual Skype session, and I can see how you perform, and then I could suggest the best option for you. If you're for it, then actually you can write to us. Let me just type the email. Why don't you write to me, Diana, and then I guess I would love to assess your level, because I just want to make sure that whatever that you take, the course that you join, I believe that should be effective. And who knows, maybe we can do something special for you. So I guess it's better for you to write to this email saying that you participated in this webinar, and then we can schedule a Skype session with you individually, and then see which course would be the best for you if you want to achieve like a very good score. Fine, guys. So what about the rest? Any other questions you all have? Okay, guys. Just I forgot, I can also share the screen and show you how the platform works, just for you all to have an idea. I guess that will make you understand what I'm talking about. So let me just open the app. Sorry, guys. Actually, I guess the connection is not that great to share the screen. But you can go to masterclassonline.ru, and I guess you will have a clear idea about the courses we offer and how the platform works. So I guess if you all don't have any questions, I would like to end the webinar. So thanks for joining the webinar, and I hope that you found it useful. And I wish you the highest score in IELTS. So hope to see you guys again. Till then, goodbye.